Hello, this is Scotty McCoy. I am the author of the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book, and I am doing another book titled The Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia, and I am interviewing the cast and crew of the Friday the 13th franchise, and I currently have on the phone with me John Otrin, who played John Shepard in Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Hi, John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Scotty?
I'm doing really well. The first question I have for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Oh, actually, my sister was a dancer, and the first time that I ever was on stage probably was about 8 years old, maybe 10, and I just helped with that. But I think the real issue of where I got started was in college. I played a juvenile delinquent in a program that they had for the somehow it was for the county, for the sheriff's department or something. And the judge said, "You're too real. Uh, is this who you really are?" And it was fun. I got to tell you, it was really fun.
Okay.
And that's how I really did my first, role. But actually, my first professional role was children's theater, and
Okay.
that was in Chicago at a place called Mill Run. And it was an equity program, and it was great. I just loved it. It's like it's in your blood. You either love it or you don't. And acting is something I love.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what I am. I'm an actor.
Right. So, what was your audition like for Friday the 13th Part 7?
Well, I was fortunate. The man who cast it was a gentleman named Anthony Barneo, and
Okay.
Anthony, he's he was actually a casting director that loved stage actors. So he loved actors that could actually. It wasn't like he was into you know somebody who had maybe a lot of hits on like today. People get hits because they do something special on line or something.
Right.
He was a casting director who loved stage actors, and he had seen me do a performance, and that's he called me in, and it really wasn't called Friday the 13th at that time. It was called Birthday Bash,
Okay.
and I didn't even know I was auditioning for Friday the 13th. I was just auditioning for a father in a really good movie.
Right. So, what was the best part about filming Friday the 13th Part 7, and what was the worst?
Well, the best part really was the John Beaker was the director, and he had this vision, and the vision was that my character was going to be dead uh, and be a zombie at the same time. I'm not sure. I would come back with skin and bones, and he had this whole thing planned out. And the best part was that it was his vision and the way that he was going to do it with the different stunt people like Hodder. I mean, he was going to really invest in that character to be an adversarial to a real adversarial
Right.
to Jason. The worst part is that in the process of doing that, it got cut out. And it was an associate producer who didn't like horror films, and to have an associate producer on a film that could have been probably the greatest franchise that was ever done, and one of the greatest episodes with his vision. The worst part was that almost every one of his scenes that were kill scenes and were just cut out of the movie,
Right.
and it still is considered one of the best. But if you see what I was supposed to look like and what he wanted me to do, and that it's one of those things that if he had done that, he would be as big as John Carpenter or bigger. It
Right.
was really that's the best and the worst.
Right. I know you had me on your other on my other Facebook. My other Facebook got deactivated by Facebook themselves. That's why I sent you a new request and you accepted it. But on my other Facebook, I'm when you first added me for the very first time, I remember you sent me behind the scenes pictures to my email regarding like what you look like and all that. That was really cool.
Yeah. In fact, there was supposed to be even another look. He had another stud lady that because of the size of putting the bones, that even though I was a man, the other, there were actually, Kane was one of the, he actually had two stunt people work on, when I fell into the water,
Yeah.
On the deck, that was one stunt person. But then in the water, they had weights, and they actually went into a diving tank, and they had another stunt man, and those were both men, and there was supposed to be a woman that was supposed to be dressed up in just bones,
Right.
and that he didn't even get a chance to film that.
Wow.
But he filmed part of it, and
Right.
like I say, his vision is amazing. He's an amazing director, just an amazing person. Kane's a great stunt person to work with too, because I mean, it's just great people on that set that you got to work with.
Right.
That's all I can say.
So, what was your most memorable moment when filming Friday the 13th Part 7?
Just working with the with the different actors. The young girl who played my daughter, Jennifer, I think it's
Jennifer Banko.
Banko. She was great. The older Tina, I really didn't get to play that often with, because it was just at the end and things got cut out. Yeah. But it was just, I would say, the cast in general. I mean, everybody, Bill Buckner, everybody, they were just, it was like a family. It was really, it was. You know, it's a horror film, but the point that I've noticed with the fans and with the people that you work with on films like that, we're playing really bad people, or really people that do things terrible, but they're really nice people. Everybody that you work with there is just really great to work with. That's probably the most.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because my parents were in Hawaii a couple years ago, and Jennifer Banko lived down in Hawaii, and she worked at the Hard Rock Cafe, and she just added me not long before that on Facebook, and I messaged her and I said, my parents are in Hawaii. I'm unfortunately not there, but would you be able to meet up with my parents if it's not so much trouble? I know you just added me, and I know it's probably like kind of weird that I'm asking this, but I really want you to get a picture with them because I grew up watching you and I loved you in Friday the 13th and that. And she messaged me back and she goes, yeah, absolutely. Tell them I'm done at such and such a time that they can meet me at the Hard Rock Cafe. So they got a bunch of pictures and they sent them to me and that. And then I got a call from my dad. And I go, oh my God, Dad, that's so awesome. You got to meet Jennifer Banko. And she goes, this isn't your dad. And I'm like, oh my God, you're on the phone with me.
It was so. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just that is what you just experienced is. Can you imagine being on a set like that for 3.5 months with people that are just that nice?
Exactly.
And that's exactly what it is. It's exactly that. Yeah.
So you kind of spoke about the next few questions I had. Basically, I was asking what was it like working with Kane Hodder, Jennifer Banko, and Lar Park Lincoln. You explained that. But what was it like working with Susan Blu?
She's very talented. I mean, she's very professional, very, very nice. That was that's the only time I worked with her. But you know, she does a lot of great voiceovers. I mean, this is a very talented lady, and you know, it would have been nice if John Beaker could have, even if it would be nice right now if they brought it back somehow, you know, and everybody got to be sort of a zombie or something. I don't know. Yeah. John Beaker, you know, he wanted to do the continuation with Tina. It would have been great. You know, something would have been great like that. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
It's funny because I heard that there's rumors going around about what this plot is, but they don't have they're not saying anything that's like tight-lipped. Basically, the script has been written so many times over and over the past few years. And I heard that Paramount just got the rights back to Friday the 13th now, or the New Line. One of them got the rights back or whatever because the 5 years that I think Paramount got it back for 5 years, and then they didn't do anything with the film, so they gave it back to New Line Cinema. So now they're going to be doing the 13th version of Friday the 13th, which is really ironic. And they want to they want to bring back all of the final girls from the past films that survived, and maybe even some of the male heroes, and they want to bring them back for one final hoorah with Jason, and end it at the 13th version of Friday the 13th, with all of the final girls being offed one by one until there's one final girl remaining.
Well, that would be great, and I think the director, that would be awesome for that if Paramount was really,
of course.
if the executives, if they don't listen to their attorneys and they listen to their creative staff, they would bring John Beaker back to direct that.
Of
they would
course.
actually bring him back, and that's my feeling. And have Kane. I mean, I met the other. There was a signing where I met the other Jasons, and all the Jasons are really nice. Even the latest Jason's a nice guy.
Yep.
But there's something about I met C.J. Graham, and he's really nice.
Right.
And
I interviewed C.J. He was a really nice guy.
He is a very nice person, and I mean they all are. And what's so interesting is that, but there's something about Kane that he just understands something that it's almost like you really feel he's the real Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I really want to interview him.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
I said I really want to interview him too, but he's so busy, and I reached out to his agent and I didn't hear anything back, so I was thinking of reaching back out to them, because sometimes, like, if you don't hear back, it's good to reach out a couple times every few months, because they get so many inquiries that maybe they overlooked mine, so why not reach out again? I mean, the chances are they could, eventually see them.
I completely agree with you.
Yes.
I completely agree, yeah.
So how did you film your death scene in the beginning of the film with the bridge?
Well, that was actually two different stuntmen, like I mentioned. The death scene at the beginning, I played an alcoholic father, and I was kind of abusive, and of course, since they had to change some stuff, there was a lot of changing that John had to, figure out how to change. But they had this hydraulic bridge, and they had balsa in certain areas, so that if he stepped forward or something, the hydraulic bridge would just break right through.
Right.
And then the water, they actually had people in boats with guns, because we shot this down in Alabama, and the water during the summer is filled with alligators and moccasins. So they had people, just in case one of the stunt guys fell into the water and hit a sleeping alligator or something, or moccasin. They wouldn't. And then in the diving tank, of course, you're down underwater. You have to go pretty deep, and with clothes that gives you buoyancy, so they had to put weights on the stunt man, and of course he had to know how to breathe through a tube, so that he could actually stay, hold his breath while he was sinking to the bottom.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right. So what was it like creating the zombified version of your character at the end of the film, such as makeup and all that?
I loved it. Are you kidding me? It was great. I mean, come on. There's Jason, who's the zombie in Crystal Lake, because he's got this righteousness that you shouldn't have sex before you're married, and if you are, you're going to get killed. And here I am, the alcoholic father, becoming a zombie. So, am I the good shepherd of the two zombies that are still living in Crystal Lake? I mean, are you kidding? That would have taken Friday the 13th in such a great direction.
Oh, definitely.
Having a zombie fighting a zombie, and it was fun. I mean, that would have been ultimate. I mean, look at what they've done with Alien versus Predator.
Yep.
Or they tried to do with Freddy
and Jason. Yeah.
Yeah. So you created something. I mean, look at today, what they have. They have The Walking Dead.
Right.
There's many zombies.
Yep. And
I
even
mean, John Baker,
even with Jason, and even in part 7 it was Jason versus Tina, but they labeled it as Jason versus Carrie.
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
and you see now if you bring back, if you do that, I mean, that's why I say Baker was ahead of his time. He was way ahead of his time. Everything they're doing now is what he actually brought to the stage.
Right.
And so you got to give credit to I mean, I saw him just recently. There was a screening at the Chinese Grauman Theater.
Right.
And I was there as one of the guest speakers, and so was Kane, and so was Diane Burrows, and so was Ken, who played the good guy. Tina, of course, was in. They couldn't get her because she was in Texas and Hawaii, but John Beaker was there, and Billy Buckner. I mean, they just had a group of us there that were, and they had a screening, and I mean, the audience was filled. I mean, the theater at the Chinese Grauman was Chinese Grauman in Hollywood was filled, and and Kane stayed after, and signed autographs, and took pictures with people. So he's very approachable, and so is everyone else.
That's awesome. So the last question I got for you is: do you have any future projects in the works, or anything you'd like to promote that you'd like to tell the readers about?
Well, yes, I do. I just we finished a movie called The Red House.
Okay.
And it's it's not as graphic as Friday the 13th. It's a little different direction. Okay. It's more of the old. I don't know if you remember, one of the movies that I loved when I was a child was like The Wolfman,
right,
or Dracula. I mean, where like even in The Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. He was a good guy who got bit by a wolf, and he became a wolf, and he didn't want to be a wolf, and he went into the torment and everything else. So there was a lot of the acting involved and a lot of the suspense, but they were good movies.
Right.
Or the first Frankenstein was really called The Modern Prometheus, and I remember reading that book, and I absolutely loved it.
Right. So
we did a movie called The Red House, and I play a character named Joshua. And it's a psychological thriller. Kate French is the star of it, and Brendan Wayne, John Wayne's grandson, plays a policeman in it. Nice. And I mean, there's a guy named Lawrence who's, I mean, it's just really kind of a spoofy movie, but it's out there. It's called The Red House, and Greg Avalone wrote it and directed it, and Greg was head of development for Kevin Costner for 10 years. He's one of his best friends. So he was there helping develop some of the projects that Kevin was on. So he knows how to put together a film really well. Okay. So if you get a chance, check out The Red House.
Definitely. Where can that be watched? Like on Netflix or?
Yeah, it's sold from Amazon, and and it's been pirated, so you can actually it's out there. Okay. It's a 90-minute. It's character developed, so it's and of course it's there was a Red House that was made back in 1947 with I'm trying to think who it was. Edward G. Robinson was in it, but it's a different story. Okay. But it's good actors, and it's kind of different, and it's more of a psychological thriller than it is a horror film, but it's good.
Awesome. I'll definitely let my readers know that, and thank you so much for giving me your time to do this interview.
Well, Scotty, thank you for taking the time.
Not a problem.
Like I say, one of the things that I've noticed, and I've been to some of the conventions, and I think there may be one coming up in March in LA. I'm not sure. That I've got a really good manager right now. Right. And what is and Tim Beal, and he handles a lot of people. Okay. And in fact, he handles John Beaker. And he really is out there. He really is a hustler. He's from Indiana, and he's been really, getting the word out. Let me put it that way.
Awesome.
And thank you for taking the time. thank you
Not a
for putting
problem.
together this.
I greatly
Yeah.
appreciate it. And if you speak to John Buechler, if you can like pass him my email or let him know that if you can do an email with me, I mean an interview with me, that'd be great too.
Well, hold on for 1 second. Hold
Okay,
on, hold on. Don't go away. Don't go away.
no problem.
You know what I'll do is I will pass on my my manager who does all these setups and
Okay,
tell him to give you a call, and he handles some of these people, and hopefully you'll be able to do more of them and
awesome.
get everybody that's been in Friday the 13th and some
That'd
of
be
their other
great.
films
That'd be
at your
great
airport.
because I'm this encyclopedia. I'm making it a very big encyclopedia. Like Friday the 13th is only the first chapter, which I'm on. The release date really isn't until 2020, but it might be even after that. But I'm after that as I'm doing like Halloween, then Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, Child's Play, like a lot of franchises, and I'm interviewing a lot of people from all the franchises. And I'm starting with Friday the 13th. It was the first. Your film is actually the first one I actually watched. And that's what got me into horror movies. Was the seventh, Friday the 13th, and just your the storyline with you and Tina and everything, and it was just something that hit me so close to home that I loved the storyline, I loved the character development, that I went back to watch all of them from the beginning. So,
Well, you know, and as nice as you are, and like I said, the cast. When I've seen people that have come to look like bikers that would you would think they're going to be the meanest people in the world, but they're the nicest people that are.
exactly,
It's just the fans of these films. Uh, they're what makes it work.
exactly.
They're really. It's you that
Exa-
makes me look good. I
Yep.
think.
If it's not for the fans, then there's no career at that point.
That's right, and that's the real truth.
Yep.
And I think actually in a lot of ways Hollywood would learn a lot from the people who watch
Yep.
horror films because
Exactly.
they're the real people in Hollywood that are the real fans,
Yes.
and that's how I feel. So
Exactly.
good luck in your project.
Thank you very
I wish
much.
you well.
You have a nice day,
And
John.
yeah, and feel free if something comes up to give me a call again.
I definitely will. Thank
Or
you.
or if there's pictures that you don't have that you might need some more copies of, or you might need to see different ones,
Okay.
then I'll be happy to help. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right.
And that goes for also the Red House, too. Okay,
Awesome.
take
Sounds
care,
good.
guys.
You too. Bye.